So we all have a hate and love relationship with our soils, and it always depends on what kind of soil you actually have. So in our case, we have this sandy, stony river soil that is worthy of getting the rocks out, because if you don't, they become a nuisance when you're using a pitchfork, and we use our pitchfork a lot. So we always get these rocks out. So today I want to show a little bit of a trick that I use, and that is we create clay soup. And that clay soup is something that we put in these sandy soils. You have to remember, clay has the finest particle out of all materials that go into soil. So if you have clay that is diluted with water, it turns into this immense amount of particles that will go into any other type of soil. So by using the clay, we can add that missing element in this sandy, rocky soil that used to be a gravel pit or a river run here. So by getting that clay inside here, we're updating the soil immensely. So we're going to make a mix on how we do it, and we're going to show you how we pour this clay into the soil itself. Yeah, so this here is our famous trench composting. This was harvested yesterday. Unfortunately, we couldn't cover this up. We didn't have the time. So this is about, I don't know, 3.5 feet deep of all this organic matter that is mostly still green. We want to achieve a compost in 3 months that is superb. Not just compost, it's got to be very, very strong compost. So with this material here, we're always missing one element, and that element is clay. And I want to get clay inside this compost because clay has some attributes that no other soils have. It has the ability to attach water molecules. So the clay molecule will attach water molecules. It will attach nutrients, any type of nutrients it can get a hold of. It has the effect of grabbing fertilizers and any type of pesticide as well. So when you're fertilizing or spraying your garden, which I don't recommend anyways, but if you do, just remember, soils that are high in clay, they will turn into a magnet. They will grab everything they can, from water to micronutrients to nitrogen, phosphorus. They will grab anything they can get a hold of. And we're going to use that to our advantage here. We're going to add this clay. We fluffed this up, so now the clay is going to travel into this space and turn it into a compost that is seeded with clay. And that clay, if wet enough, will travel deep into this 4 feet area here. And when we harvest this area will be completely full of the 3 things you need: silt, clay, and the organic matter. So by filling this up with clay, to a certain extent, we're enriching this compost for future use. Okay, so this clay is a bit sandy, but it's run-of-your-mill clay, and it's loaded with rocks. So by turning this into a soup, we can reach into the pail and get all these rocks out, which is really going to be beneficial. So we're going to start turning this into soup, and then we're going to apply it into the trench composting. Okay, más. Okay, so here's our soup. And I'm going to pour most of the water out first. And the solids are on the bottom, and I got to get the rocks out. So you have to remember that this clay soup is the smallest particle in the assembly of soil. So this clay will go into almost anything because it's so much smaller in profile. So I fluffed up, this is going to be the bottom of a trench. So I fluffed up the soil, and all I'm trying to show with this is that when you pour this clay onto this fluffed up soil, it will go into it. It'll actually stain, this clay is so powerful it will stain the topsoil. So I'm going to pour it in. Okay, so what happens is I'm 6 inches down and the clay has mixed with it. So this sandy aggregate now is completely saturated with clay. So you can use this material, this clay soup, in soils and in composting as well. So in the trench composting, but you can also get your beds set up, your topsoil set up with this clay mix as well. So remember that you can introduce clay to your soils, especially when it's needed. And this soupy mix is probably one of the best way to get those small particles into the rest of the topsoil. So people that have really good gardens, they always work on their soil. And what that means is they pick up a handful of, and they tell themselves, okay, this soil is very sandy, it has very little clay in it, or it is very rich in humus, whatever it is. Every soil will give away its secrets if you put it in your hand and work it into a motion. The secrets are in touching it. You know exactly what's missing if you have the experience. So this soil is definitely missing clay and really rich organic material. So you would add those two things and you'll have perfect soil. And it's always this objective of achieving that perfect soil for your garden or your location.